into the Jordan 1 mid, and that's fine. I understand that, you know. It doesn't have the same authentic and nostalgic look of the OG high or even the retro high. You know, we really prefer those high tops when it comes to Jordan 1s, especially since the Jordans following the Jordan 2, all of those are really only mid tops, are not quite as high as a Jordan 1. So if you prefer a high top basketball shoe, the Jordan 1 is a go-to, especially just considering how classic it is. But it's also kind of ironic just because of well, fun fact that Michael Jordan actually wore technically Jordan 1 mids when he was playing in his rookie year. Aside from the Nike Airships, of course, he always preferred a mid top, hence why we didn't have any high tops following the Jordan 2. That and the mid isn't really that much lower. We'll go over a visual on that. It's really more of like the specific look in terms of how the upper is cut. But question is, you know, should you even look at buying the Jordan 1 mid Chicago 2020? Is something you should sleep on, or is something you should probably hop on now while it's still significantly affordable in comparison to a lot of other Jordan 1s in general, especially in comparison to any Chicago you want to get? So first, let's go ahead and just unbox this thing. And here we have our shoe. Chicago 1 mid 2020, release this year, of course, in 2020. Now, with this being a retro, obviously, you get the Jumpman on the tongue. Also, by the way, you can see I got these on StockX, so just have that verified tag. I haven't put these on yet, so this is a fresh unboxing. So what's different, one thing that's already different about a retro one is that it comes already laced. Whereas you saw last time, you see with a lot of Jordan 1 OG highs, just OGs, they don't come pre-laced. These are pre-laced. I'm actually glad they came that way in this case, because right now I have a broken hand. If you saw my last vlog, I explained how that happened. Luckily, in my case, it's laced. I personally don't have a preference whether a shoe is laced or not laced when you first get it. It's nice when it's not laced because, for one, specifically with the Jordan 1 OG high, it gives you that retro feel that it's unboxed the same way it would have been unboxed back in 1985 when it was released. That, and also it gives you the way to lace your shoes the way you want them to, if you prefer to lace your shoes in a different pattern, if you want to lace them in bars. And I kind of like the look of the mids, to be honest with you. I don't think it's that significant of a difference. I do get the whole idea about the authenticity of an OG high or a retro high. You want to get that high top, or you get more ankle support from a high top. But let's do a quick comparison, shall we? So I have the OG high here, and you can see here it's just about a half-inch difference in the exact height of the ankle on the upper between the OG high and the retro high. The other significant difference is the shape of the ankle. The ankle on the OG high is a little bit higher on the back than the mid. So you have more of like a slant here, which makes it easier to put on and take off. That's one thing that I really like about the mid as well, is that it's a lot easier to put on and take off without worrying about getting creases around the ankle. That's one thing you're really going to be careful with whenever you have OG highs, especially if you want to maintain them for a long time, if you're thinking about reselling them, or just, you know, really getting your money's worth out of it. So both of the cameras ended up dying on me while I was recording. And within that time of getting the camera charged, I got my cast removed, got a haircut, and changed. Yeah, a lot of time passed. But within that time, I decided to go ahead and actually rock these mids, which I normally don't do whenever I do a review, or at least, you know, the last time I did a review, I did it right out of the box. Whereas with this one, I decided, you know, while there was time in between those taking off or finishing this video, I was going to go ahead and rock them, and I'm glad I did, because I noticed something that I wouldn't have realized had I not rocked them prior to this review. What I do want to go over about this that I didn't realize is just how stiff the leather is on these. It's really, not the highest quality, which, I mean, technically I shouldn't really expect the highest quality leather on a Jordan 1, especially Jordan 1 mid. A lot of the retros, especially, or different colorways that come out on higher end Jordans, such as, you know, Jordan 1 OG highs, as well as Jordan 3s, 4s, and 5s, Jordan 12s. Those ones tend to have higher quality leather, but like Jordan 1 lows and Jordan 1 mids that typically go for a lower price aren't going to have as high quality leather. And Jordan brand already doesn't have the highest quality leather when compared to like luxury shoe brands, like Common Projects, for example, that, you know, those shoes run for $300 or higher retail at times because they have very high quality handcrafted leather, whereas these are manufactured at a really high demand. There's a much higher demand for Jordans than there is for, you know, exotic, expensive sneakers. It's kind of like cars, you know. Still good quality shoes. When it comes to the leather, you know, you're not going to get the highest quality that there is in a shoe, especially considering that it's an athletic shoe technically. And with the mids and the lows being, you know, put at a lower price point and not as high of a demand as an OG high, they're gonna have lower quality leather. So that's one thing to keep in mind whenever you're shopping for these shoes. But I'm glad I mentioned that because, you know, as sneakerheads, we really want to make sure that we're getting a shoe that we know is going to last, and it's going to stay. Well, that's going to keep its quality for a long time. That way you're really getting what you're paid for, whether you're looking at reselling them or if you're looking at rocking them. You want to make sure that you're getting your money's worth out of it every time. Now, this being, you know, a less expensive, you know, relatively less expensive sneaker, I think you still get what you pay for in terms of the design, but I should let you guys know about the leather quality. You get some really bad creasing on the toe box with these because the leather is so stiff and it's lower quality, and it looks like it has some texture, like it's a tumbled leather. But it seems almost like it seems more of like a synthetic. This is definitely more of like a synthetic leather as opposed to a natural one that you see in more expensive ones, possibly. These Jordan ones that I reviewed, as well as a lot of the other higher end Jordans, will have you know, real leather on them that will, you know, have a much better feel to them and last longer. But with these, with this synthetic leather and just lower quality in general, it's really stiff. So it's gonna crease a lot easier, and I know how sneakers feel about their creased toe boxes. And all leather creases, but it creases in different ways. Whenever you get stiff leather, typically when shoes are stiff, you imagine it might last longer because there's more structural integrity in the shoe, and that's more so with like the midsole and the outsole that you know, you should consider stiffness. But when it comes to leather, it's really the softer plush leather and real leather that lasts longer. Because it's more moldable and it's less prone to crack over time, whereas cheap leather can crease and crack much more easily, and that'll actually cause it to well, crack and fall apart over time. So as you can see here, I have these three different shoes. I have the mid that we're doing a review on, and then I have our Jordan 1 OG High Bloodline that you guys saw before. And then I have this Adidas Power Phase. All three of these shoes have very different types of leather. These two are much higher quality, and this one is a low quality that you see. So like, you can see already like how stiff this one is, and that it resists a lot of the pressure. In comparison to these, I can push them down and squeeze them, and they sort of just adjust to the pressure that I put down on them, and they're really plush and they're soft, whereas this one is stiff and it tends to try to you know, keep a lot of structure, and when that happens, you get these really bad creases. Do you guys see that? Like, it's almost like paper. Whenever you crumple up paper, it leaves creases and wrinkles that are much more visible later on, whereas with softer leather or like fabric, it's more moldable to to where you don't really have really bad creases that will last a long time and look really ugly over time. And if you get creases in this type of leather, they're much easier to get out by stuffing them or ironing it out. If you're worried about creases, I'm personally not too worried about creases on shoes that I know I'm going to rock. I always, wear them every now and then just to try to keep them looking nice and icy, or I would just let them crease up and get like a natural patina, especially on a higher quality leather shoe like this one. So I'm just glad that detail didn't go overlooked. I'm sure that you guys care a lot about the quality of what you're getting, so I want to make sure I went over that in terms of the leather quality. I think that's really important, especially when you're going to drop over $100 on a pair of shoes. However, I don't think that completely ruins a shoe. I don't necessarily mean that you shouldn't get it, because really all Jordan 1 mids and Jordan 1 lows are typically going to come with this type of quality of synthetic leather. If you've never had a pair of Jordan 1 lows or Jordan 1 mids, it's typically like that unless it's made with a different material. Sometimes different colorways of mids will come with high quality leather. Sometimes they won't be made out of leather. All other Jordans out there, such as the Flyknit Jordan 1s, as well as their satin ones, suede ones, nubuck ones, but a lot of the common ones that are mids and lows are going to be in this type of synthetic leather, just so you guys know. Now, one other thing I wanted to say about the shoe, more in terms of the colorway, and I'm sure a lot of you look at this shoe, it's like, man, why don't they just drop the Chicago 1 OG high? It's been 5 years since the last time they dropped an OG high in the Chicago colorway, and it's been even longer since they just done like a regular retro in the Chicago colorway. And I feel your pain. I really want to get my hands on a pair of Jordan 1 highs in the Chicago colorway. And right now the resale on those is ridiculous, and that's like an essential shoe everyone should have in terms of like Jordan 1. So eventually we'll get that retro, and I'm definitely gonna hop on it once that happens. But for right now, this is sort of like a really affordable option, with the other mid being the black toe mid. I really prefer this one because you get the white toe box. It really just looks more like the OG, especially while you're wearing them or when you're rocking them, and from far away they look like you're just wearing Chicago Jordan 1. When you're looking at the shoe, the last thing you're looking at is the heel. So in my opinion, this is a much better choice in terms of getting a colorway that looks like the Chicago one. Some people might disagree with me, but I really that white toe box to me really makes a difference in comparison to the black toe, especially having the toe box match the middle of the upper. Just having that symmetry just makes more sense to me in terms of the color blocking. The black toe just kind of look funny to me by having just a black toe and it not really matching any other part of the shoe in terms of the color blocking. Maybe if the tongue was black or if the heel was black would make sense, but otherwise it just looks out of place. This one doesn't look so bad because with it being white, it matches the side and the toe, so the color blocking kind of makes sense. That, and if you look at it, this colorway already exists on a much older Jordan 1. And I'm talking about the Air Jordan KO, the AJKO Jordan 1s. All the AJKOs don't even have a heel cap. So the AJKO Jordan 1 literally looks exactly like this, except it's a canvas shoe instead of a leather shoe. So this is basically just the AJKO in leather, because AJKO was mid-top, it doesn't have a heel cap, so this is exactly that colorway but in leather, which to me kind of makes it a better shoe. So if you're a fan of the AJKO in the Chicago colorway, this is almost like an upgrade from that. Or at least I would definitely pick these up if you're into that kind of style, or at least, I don't know, maybe I changed some opinions on saying that. I don't know if anyone notices that, but it's literally the same shoe in terms of the silhouette and the color blocking. It's basically the same. With that in mind, I don't necessarily think they should sleep on this shoe either. But let's go ahead and answer the question. Should you consider buying these, especially that, you know, the price on them is going to be pretty reasonable right now as they came out earlier this year. It is the Chicago 2020 after all. First of all, do you even like Jordan 1 mids? Because not everyone does. I do understand that, you know, some people prefer the OG stuff. The mids didn't come out until the 2000s. So back in the 80s and 90s, the only thing that people were rocking in terms of ones were OG highs. So if you're not a fan of the mids, then don't even worry about it. You know, if you don't like mids, why are you going to go out of your way to rock a different one? This could be a good way to introduce yourself to Jordan 1 mids. But if you don't like the shape, because it is a little bit different, if you don't like that it's a little bit lower and a little bit sort of like elongated with it being lower, if you don't like that cut on the upper, then don't bother. But if you do like the mids and you're sort of on the fence about it, I do think it's a pretty good choice. But there's another factor though, if you should buy these. Do you already have a pair of Chicago 1s? If you already have a pair of Chicago 1s, then I don't necessarily see a reason to get this. I sort of see this shoe like a lot of different colorways that sort of pay homage to the OG colorways that we saw, like the bread toes and the royal toes. This sort of fits in the same camp to me, in that it's like it pays homage to these old colorways. But if you already have the OG, then you don't necessarily need this shoe. But if you do like Jordan 1 mids and you're a little bit on a budget for a Jordan 1 and you really like Chicago colorway, you don't have one, and you definitely can't afford a rack to drop on an OG high and the Chicago colorway, I would definitely still recommend getting this shoe. You know, I will say keep in mind, you know, with the leather and everything, but that comes with all mids. So if you like mids, that's not really part of the problem. For me, it wasn't. You know, I like mids. I don't really have anything against them. The leather is, you know, it's not the best quality to me, but I got what I paid for. You know, it is still about $100 to $140 shoe depending on where you get it from. A Jordan 1 high sells for $170, so for a really similar shoe and practically the same silhouette, you know, it's a modified silhouette of the Jordan 1 OG high, or a retro high technically. But it's a Jordan 1, and it's in a very close rendition of an OG colorway. To me, it made sense. So I'm still glad that I had these. I'm gonna rock them every now and then. I'll probably rock them more often than my OG high, since these are a lot more valuable and a lot nicer. I want to keep them clean. I want to keep them much longer than I might keep these shoes. So I might even just rock these more often, you know, if I'm just, it might be a shoe I might just throw on when I'm trying to go pick up some groceries or something, you know. So if you like mids and you like this colorway, I definitely still recommend getting this shoe. If you don't like mids, or if you already have a pair of Chicago 1s, I'd probably sleep on it. Honestly, if it were me, I wouldn't even bother, because I already had the real thing. Or I don't like mids, so then it's not really a point. So it really depends on who you are. If you like mids and you like this colorway, I definitely recommend getting it, and definitely get it soon before it goes up in price. Mids and lows go way up in price, especially 6 months to a year after. So that being said, if you're a reseller, if you're trying to flip these shoes, I would wait a little while. Definitely don't go out of your way to try to flip them right now. They're still fairly new. You would definitely make a much bigger profit if you let these sit on ice for a little bit longer. Probably wait until next year, and then you'll definitely get a much bigger. You'll reach a much higher profit margin at that point. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about the Jordan 1 mid in the Chicago 2020 colorway. I still think they're pretty dope. It is, a lower quality Jordan 1 in terms of the context of Jordan 1s. And I'm not gonna try to keep them as long as I want to keep my OG highs, but it's still a shoe that I'm gonna rock every now and then and have part of my rotation. And I'm glad I have it in my collection as well. But let me know in the comments, do you like mids? Do you hate mids? Do you like the Chicago 1? You just want it to come back already? Are you holding onto this for resale? What made you get this shoe if you had this shoe? Are you just avoiding this? Let me know in the comments. And let me know what shoes you guys want to see in the next video. The last video did really well, and I'm really excited for the next few videos I plan in terms of sneakers, and I'm glad that I introduced it to the channel. I am going to keep things mostly limited in terms of hype sneakers that I might get my hands on, just so that way something that you guys can get a lot of value out of. That and shoes that I'm throwing into my rotation that I really like, or maybe just like essential things on sneakers in general. I'm not gonna review every single shoe I get my hands on because I'm also reselling shoes. But if I get my hands on something that I really like, that I'm gonna throw into my rotation, or that I think is gonna bring a lot of value for you guys, like hype sneakers that drop every now and then, that's typically when I'll be posting. So stay tuned and be sure to subscribe and like and hit that notification bell so you guys know when I drop the next video on another pair of shoes or on my vlogs. Thank you so much for watching, and most importantly, have a fantastic day.